The galactic predators had ruled the stars for longer than most species could remember. They were hunters by nature and conquerors by choice. When their fleets arrived, planets fell silent, cities burned, armies broke. No one ever stood against them for long. They feared nothing. In a distant star system, a predator fleet drifted among the ruins of another conquered world. Broken stations floated like dead bones. Fire still burned on the planet below. The hunt was over. Victory was complete. Predator commanders watched the battlefield with calm satisfaction. This was normal. This was expected. Then an alarm sounded. Not loud, not urgent, just a quiet signal. A junior officer leaned closer to the sensor screen. "Unknown ships detected," he said. The commanders barely reacted. New prey, perhaps, another weak species arriving too late. "Identify them," one commander ordered. The screen updated. The symbol was unfamiliar, old design, simple structure, no known predator markings. "Species classified," the officer continued. "Humans." Laughter filled the command chamber. Humans were known to the galaxy. Small population, divided worlds, weak political unity. Their technology was decent, but nothing special. They were rated as low threat. "Why are they here?" another commander asked, amused. Before anyone could answer, one of the Predator battleships disappeared. There was no explosion, no warning, no energy surge. One moment it was there, the next empty space. The chamber fell silent. "Replay that," the commander said. The footage showed the same thing again. Human ships stayed at a distance, no bright weapons, no loud attack, just a brief distortion in space, and the Predator ship was gone. "This is impossible," someone whispered. Predator shields had never failed like that. Their armor had survived supernovas and planetary cannons, yet this ship had vanished as if it never existed. More alarms followed. Another ship lost, then another. Human ships moved slowly, calmly, with perfect coordination. They did not chase, they did not rush, they waited. For the first time in centuries, a Predator commander felt uncertainty tighten his chest. "Open human combat records," he ordered. The data was old, incomplete, but one detail stood out. Humans had fought wars constantly against themselves. They had learned strategy through failure. They had learned survival through loss. They had learned patience through suffering. The commander looked back at the screen. The human fleet had stopped advancing. They were not attacking. They were watching, waiting for the Predators to make the next move. And in that moment, deep inside their hardened minds, the Galactic Predators felt something they had never known before. Not anger, not excitement, fear. The galaxy had learned fear long before humans reached the stars. Every major species had a story about the Galactic Predators. Some were written in history books, others were whispered in dark rooms. The details changed, but the ending was always the same. The Predators arrived. The fighting began. The fighting ended. Entire worlds vanished from star maps. Trade routes were abandoned. Powerful empires signed surrender agreements without firing a single shot. No one wanted to be noticed by the hunters of the galaxy. The Galactic Council existed for one reason: to delay the Predators. Not to stop them. That was impossible. The Council could only decide who would be sacrificed next. When news spread that humans had entered the war, disbelief followed. Humans were young, their space age was recent, their colonies were few, their fleets were small compared to ancient empires. Some species laughed, others felt pity. A council observer spoke quietly during an emergency meeting.
The humans do not understand what they're facing. No one disagreed. The predators had crushed species far older and stronger than humanity, species with stronger weapons, species with faster ships, species that believed they could win. They were all gone. Far from the council chambers, predator commanders reviewed the situation. The recent losses were strange, but not alarming. One failed hunt did not change thousands of victories. "Humans are unpredictable," one commander said, "but they bleed like all others." Orders were given. More fleets were dispatched. The hunt would continue. Across the galaxy, worlds prepared for the worst. Refugee ships crowded space lanes. Civilian stations shut down power to avoid detection. Entire populations waited in silence, hoping the predators would pass them by. On a human colony world, there was no panic. Civilians continued their work. Defense crews moved calmly. Ships entered formation without chaos. There were no speeches, no dramatic calls for courage, only preparation. Human commanders studied predator behavior. They did not focus on strength or size. They focused on habits, patterns, reactions. "They rely on fear," one human officer said. "Remove that, and they make mistakes." Predator fleets approached another human-controlled system. This time, humans did not wait. Human ships struck first, not with power, but with timing. Supply ships vanished. Communication relays went silent. Navigation systems failed. The predators advanced anyway. Then they realized something was wrong. There were no human war cries, no threats, no attempt to intimidate, only quiet precision. The galaxy watched in disbelief as predator fleets slowed, regrouped, and hesitated. Fear had always belonged to the hunted. Now it was spreading, slowly, quietly, through the hunters themselves. And the galaxy began to wonder. What kind of species fights monsters and does not fear them?
The first true battle between humans and the galactic predators did not happen near a famous world. It happened near a small human colony with no special value. That alone confused the predators. The system had one planet, 2 moons, and a thin asteroid belt. No great resources, no powerful stations, nothing worth protecting. Perfect prey. Predator fleets arrived in hunting formation. Their ships were large and brutal, covered in armor and weapon mounts. They expected panic signals, evacuation traffic, loud resistance. They found silence. Human ships floated near the planet in wide formation. They were fewer in number, smaller, simpler in design. Their engines burned low and steady. Predator commanders smiled. "Advance," the order came. The Predator fleet moved forward as one, weapons charged, target locks formed. Still, the humans did nothing. Then space changed. Predator scanners filled with false readings, distances stretched, time signals slipped out of sync. Some ships believed they were alone, others thought they were surrounded. Human ships began to move. Not fast, not aggressively. They drifted apart, drawing predator ships forward. Small human craft slipped behind the larger predator vessels, striking at engines and control systems. One predator cruiser lost power and crashed into another. A second ship tried to fire and found its weapons offline. "Regroup," a predator commander shouted, but it was too late. Human strikes were clean and exact, no wasted shots, no pursuit. When a predator ship was disabled, humans moved on. Boarding pods launched next.
Predator warriors welcomed close combat. This was their strength. Their claws and armor had broken countless enemies. The pods breached. Inside the human ships, the lighting was dim, the corridors were narrow, doors sealed and opened at strange times, traps activated without warning. Predator warriors advanced and vanished. Human defenders did not roar, they did not charge, they waited, they used angles, they worked in teams. Room by room, Predator boarding parties were removed from the fight. Outside, Predator commanders realized the truth. They were being separated. The hunt formation that had always worked was now a weakness. Each Predator ship fought alone, cut off from support. One by one, Predator ships went dark. The human fleet did not chase the retreating vessels. They did not celebrate. They held position. Hours later, the battlefield was quiet. Wreckage drifted through space. Disabled Predator ships floated, powerless but intact. The Predators had lost the battle. Across the galaxy, observers replayed the combat footage again and again. They searched for secret superweapons. They found none. The humans had won with patience, with planning, with control. The Galactic Predators had faced many enemies before, but this was the first time an enemy had studied them and survived long enough to strike back. The war had changed, and it had only just begun. Not aggression, reliability. The final record in the Galactic Archive was written many years later by a neutral observer. When Earth was abandoned, humanity learned a hard truth. When humanity returned, the galaxy learned a harder one. The stars did not belong to the strongest. They belonged to those who stood when it mattered most. And among all species, humanity's true reputation was now clear. They never forget who stood beside them, and they always come back. The galaxy felt the change before it could explain it. Predator fleets no longer moved with confidence. Their attacks slowed. Their formations became cautious. For the first time in recorded history, the hunters checked their surroundings twice. Human forces did not chase them openly. Instead, they appeared where least expected. Predator supply convoys vanished in deep space. Fuel stations went silent. Long-range scouts failed to return. Each loss was small by itself, but together they began to hurt. Predator commanders grew angry. They increased patrols. They sent more ships. They hunted harder. That only made things worse. Humans studied Predator movement patterns. When the Predators spread out, humans isolated them. When they gathered in strength, humans disappeared. Human attacks were quiet and fast. Sometimes a Predator ship arrived at a system and found its navigation data corrupted. Other times, communication between ships failed without warning. Worst of all, humans left messages. Simple recordings were broadcast across open channels, short battle clips, clear evidence of Predator defeats. No insults, no threats, just proof. Across Predator worlds, young warriors watched these recordings in silence. The stories they had grown up with did not match what they saw. Predators were supposed to win, always. But now Predator ships were drifting powerless in space. Predator warriors were surrendering to a species once considered weak. Fear began to spread, not as panic, but as doubt. On one distant battlefield, a Predator strike force entered a human-controlled region. Their scanners showed nothing. They advanced anyway. Moments later, gravity fields shifted. Ships were pulled apart or thrown off course. Human drones struck engines and vanished before weapons could track them. The Predator force tried to retreat. Human ships appeared behind them. not blocking, not chasing, waiting. The Predator commander hesitated. That pause cost him everything. His flagship was disabled without being destroyed. Human boarding teams entered, secured control, and shut down the ship. The Predator commander was captured alive. This had never happened before. He was taken to a human facility. There were no chains, no torture, only questions. "Why do you hunt?" the humans asked. The commander had no answer that made sense anymore. News of his capture spread faster than any weapon. Predator morale cracked. Some Predator fleets refused warders. Others avoided human space entirely. The Galactic Council watched in disbelief. The Predators were still powerful, still dangerous, but they were no longer unstoppable. The hunters were learning caution. They were learning fear. And humanity had not even revealed its full strength yet.
The Galactic Predators could no longer deny the truth. Humans were not a passing threat. They were not lucky. They were not weak. For the first time in their long history, the Predators gathered all remaining fleets under one command. At the center of this force was the High Alpha, the supreme leader of the Predators. His decision was final. "The hunt ends at the source," he declared. "Set course for Earth." The news spread across the galaxy like a shock wave. Earth, the human homeworld, the place where their kind had first learned war, loss, and survival. Many believed this was the end. If Earth fell, humanity would break. Human commanders received the message calmly. They had expected this. Earth did not call for help. It did not evacuate. It prepared. Predator fleets entered the solar region in massive numbers, the largest force ever assembled. Their ships darkened the stars. Their confidence returned as they saw the planet below. So small, so fragile. Then the traps activated. Hidden stations powered up. Gravity fields twisted space itself. Predator formations shattered as ships were pulled off course. Entire fleets found themselves trapped in dead zones where engines failed and signals died. The Predators fought back with everything they had. Planets cracked, space burned, human ships were lost, but every Predator move met resistance. Human defenses were layered. If one line fell, another activated. Human fleets struck supply ships and command vessels, cutting leadership apart. The High Alpha ordered a direct assault. His flagship pushed forward alone, burning through defenses. He believed victory required strength, not caution. That belief doomed him. Human ships did not surround the flagship. They opened a path. The High Alpha advanced straight into a gravity well designed decades earlier. His ship slowed, systems failed, power drained. Human vessels appeared on all sides. For the first time, the High Alpha felt uncertainty. A human message reached his command deck. "You were not the first Predator we faced. You will not be the last." The flagship was disabled, not destroyed. Across the battlefield, Predator fleets saw their leader fall silent. Some tried to fight on, others fled. The war ended not with a final explosion, but with surrender signals spreading through space. Earth remained standing. The Predators had lost. And the galaxy realized something important. Humanity had not won by being stronger. They had won by refusing to give up their home. The war ended quietly. There were no great celebrations across the galaxy, no loud victory songs, only silence, heavy and full of meaning. The Galactic Predators withdrew their remaining fleets beyond known space. Their borders closed, their hunting routes were erased from star maps. For the first time in their history, the Predators had chosen survival over conquest. On Predator worlds, the stories changed. Children no longer trained only to hunt. They were taught caution. They were taught restraint. One new law was carved into their archives and repeated by every commander: never hunt humans. The Galactic Council met again, but this time fear was no longer the main feeling. Awe replaced it. Species that had once hidden now rebuilt their worlds. Trade routes reopened, colonies returned to life. And at the center of it all stood humanity. Humans did not demand control. They did not take territory. They did not punish defeated enemies. They repaired damaged systems. They shared medical aid. They helped rebuild stations destroyed during the war. Many species were confused. Why help? One alien diplomat asked. A human representative answered simply, because we know what war costs. On Earth, life continued as it always had. Cities were repaired. Names of the fallen were written into quiet memorials. Soldiers returned home without parades. Humans did not see themselves as heroes. They saw themselves as survivors. Across the galaxy, opinions about humanity spread. Some called them protectors. Others whispered that they were monsters hiding behind calm faces. Humans did not argue either claim. They had learned long ago that being underestimated could be a strength. In deep space, a Predator elder studied recordings from the war. Human ships, human tactics, human silence. We hunted strength, he said slowly, but humans were shaped by struggle. The elder closed the archive. The galaxy should remember this, he added. Not all predators hunt with claws. Years later, new species entered space. Young civilizations asked about the war, about the time the Galactic Predators were stopped. The answer was always the same. Humans did not seek the fight. They did not want fear. They only refused to kneel. And so the galaxy learned a final lesson. No species had ever terrified the Galactic Predators until humans entered the war.